I was stunned when I discovered that after all the international furore over Cecil the lion and the way in which that great beast was tracked, hunted, killed, dismembered, that the number of lions being caught in similar circumstances and brought back as trophies to this country has significantly increased since then.
It's doubled.
How can this be happening?
Yeah, it is people enjoying cruelty to animals in various forms.
I thought it was banned. Eduardo, you discovered, I think, as well, just a few weeks ago, that there was actually no existing ban. That's why you started your campaign.
Well, that's right. I mean, we often think that, for example, elephants and tusks, it's illegal to poach the ivory. But the law actually has a loophole in it. So if you've got an elephant with a tusk and you want to kill it in order to sell that ivory, that is banned under international law.
Explain to me, what am I missing here?
Yeah, what you're missing is the contribution that responsible hunting brings to conservation. And yes, it's easy to pick on these negative images, which I am not condoning.
Well, where are the positive image? I mean, how could an image of a hunter with a beautiful dead animal ever be a positive image?
You're absolutely right, and I think images should be a private matter. Ethical, responsible hunting makes a huge contribution to the conservation
The Cecil the lion was lured out of his compound.
I'm not...
Right? Hang on, let me finish. Lured out, stalked for, nearly a day. He was attacked with, I think, a bow and arrow in his case, and left to then die very, very slowly. Then he was skinned alive, right? There's sort of
I doubt that, but
that's exactly what happened.
I'm not going to...
Which part of that do you doubt?
I'm not condoning individual
which part of it do you doubt?
That it was skinned alive.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't know anything about it, then? So the single most notorious trophy hunting story...
Which I'm not condoning.
...of the last 10 years...
But what you're ignoring...
as the man defending it, have actually no idea what happened to that lion.
I'm not defending individual cases.
Why don't you know
like
what happened
that?
to Cecil the lion?
Because I know it was killed.
You don't know how it was killed.
I wasn't there. Were you there?
I know the exact...
Were you
details.
there? No, neither was I.
If
so
I'm not
can we
actually...
focus on the real issue,
right, so if I'm not
which is the
there,
real issue?
I don't know this happened.
We know it died. What I'm trying to say
it
is
died
that
in the most despicable circumstances, in the most cowardly... Well, let me finish. In the most cowardly circumstances, right? It was the ultimate case of a rich, wealthy... in this case, I think it was an American dentist called Walter, right?
Yeah. What I came along here to...
You think that's just a trivial detail, do you?
What I came along to say is that there are far worse cases of poaching, poisoning and human encroachment is the real impact on these wild species, particularly in Africa, but all over the world. Human encroachment, cattle farmers, poisoning...
Why do British people need to bring back the bodies of
poisoning
lions?
Animals? Can I finish?
Why do they want to bring back... Well, don't try and play whataboutery. Why do British people need to go over to places like Botswana, wherever it may be, and hunt and shoot dead or bow and arrow dead wild elephants or lions and bring back these great beasts to this country and put them on their walls?
Because they are hunters.
That's not hunting, is it?
Yes, it is.
That is
treating... Is your argument that they pay the money and that then helps?
Of course it does. And what I'd like to say, if I'm allowed to speak, is if you look at countries like Kenya, which banned hunting in 1977, have since then seen a 70% decline in wild species.
Because you feel that they don't have the funding.
Because it's not being funded. Well, if you look at South Africa, in the same period, South Africa on private land has seen its species...
Well, you haven't answered my question.
I'll come back to that if I'm allowed to finish.
Well, can you answer my question?
I'll
tell you what, rather than you conducting the interview, why don't you just answer my question? You know nothing about
in South Africa,
which was the reason you were brought on here.
Gone
right?
From...
Why do British people need to go to Africa and bring back lions and elephants to this country?
Because that's what they enjoy doing.
Right. So that's enough, is it? They just enjoy...
No, it's not enough.
They just enjoy handing over a cheque, slaughtering great animals and bringing them back as a trophy and posing for their gut-wrenching pictures.
If you look at what's happening in South Africa...
That's enough that they enjoy it. Susanna,
20 million animals... You're cutting me out because I've got a valid point.
I'm cutting you out because your answer was because they enjoy it, right? Susanna, they enjoy it, right? People enjoy doing this to these great animals, so why should we stop them?
We have to stop people enjoying being cruel, whatever the sport is. I started with badger baiting, going against badger baiting in Lancashire in the 1990s. That is cruelty to animals. If you can stop it, like the French and the Dutch have just stopped it, then Michael Gove should do exactly that now. He can do it now. And people who watch this wonderful programme ought, as soon as possible, to get on to their MP now.
Steve says, no, listen, this helps. It helps save animals.
It'd be wonderful if it were true, but it's not. And if you look, for example, in Botswana, we talked about Botswana, they stopped trophy hunting there because the elephant populations were crashing. When they stopped trophy hunting, of course, the elephant populations recovered. And you look at other species.
Kenya? Steve's point was about
well, there's
Kenya,
so many
where
different
it was
examples, and there's been a lot of scientific studies. I mean, let's look at the issue of lions. We started by talking about Cecil. You know, lion populations are crashing, and trophy hunting is having a particular impact. So over the last decade alone, 10,000 lion trophies have been taken home by hunters. There's only 20,000 lions. That's an extraordinary big proportion of the amount of lions. But there's such greed, if you like, such demand for lion trophies.
Where are British people putting their lions and elephants in this country? That's what I want to know.
Yeah,
On the
Where do they go?
on their
Where do they put them? Like Walter with Cecil the lion, this rich, smug American dentist who was going to put it on his surgery office wall.
Well, Steve knows.
Right.
Where do they put them?
Well, they put them where they want to put them. But you're ignoring my key point that where there is a demand
Your
for
key
hunting
point was that they
is
enjoy
that-
it. When I said, why do they bring them to this country?
Why won't you let me
You said,
why won't you
because
let-
your answer was they enjoy it.
Well,
It
maybe
wasn't anything else.
I'm not. I can't judge individuals, but what I can say is that hunting brings significant gains to local communities in places like South Africa. By banning the legal aspect of hunting, you are putting at risk people's jobs, people's livelihood, and worse still, you're putting at risk the very species that are benefiting
This
from
debate is
management.
not
It is about management.
This debate, you can't just keep talking. This debate is not about managing sensible local conservation that benefits the communities. This debate is why Britain allows people to go over, pay large amounts of money and bring back the bodies of lions, leopards, rhinos, elephants to this country and hang them on their walls like trophies. That's what we take exception to.
For the reason
And you
I've
say it's
given
because
you.
they enjoy it.
For the
and
reason...
I say that's not enough.
OK, well, what I'm saying is
I might
enough
enjoy
is
spearing you in the back, right?
I might enjoy spearing you too.
I'm putting your body on the wall of the studio.
I'd love your
But that
head on the... I'm sure more people would like your head on the wall than mine.
Would you like it if I tracked you down after you leave the studio, put a bow and arrow in you, skin you alive and put you on the wall here?
I'm not asking you to like it. What I'm saying is it makes
Would you like that just because I enjoy it? Maybe I would enjoy it, Steve.
Maybe you picked
why
on a
shouldn't
point
I?
that I've said and you're going to persecute me for it. But what I'm trying to say is hunting is a significant contribution to conservation. You've had a number of people on your show back this up. The World Wildlife Fund recognises it's a significant benefit to wildlife species.
I worked at WWF for many years, and I can say that, one can say that if there were a well-managed programme, it could have benefits. But actually, the evidence of that happening on the ground simply doesn't exist. What we have, though, is organisations like the Safari Club that actively encourages hunters to go and kill animals, many of them endangered. So they have schemes such as the Africa 29, which is where you have to go and get 29 different trophies.
Yeah.
The big cats of the world,
I think
the World
most
Global
people
Award.
watching, will find it pretty astonishing. What I'm wondering is, if there is a financial contribution that these hunters make, is there not a possibility that our government can step in and just fill that gap? Because I can't believe it's that much, to be honest.
Well, it makes a tiny contribution, actually, to local communities. I mean, the fees from trophy hunting either tend to stay within the industry or in the hands of a small number of corrupt officials. The thing that does work and does bring prosperity to local communities is nature tourism, wildlife tourism. It creates 40 times as much revenue.
Leave the animals alive.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sir Ranulph Fiennes, just before we let you go, the stark warning from Sir David Attenborough yesterday, time is running out to save the planet. You've been to pretty much most places on the planet. Do you agree with him when it comes to climate change?
I've been the first foreign guest editor of the National Geographic magazine, and the subject I chose was Arctic ice disappearing rapidly. We used to design sledges which were just for going on ice. Now we have to design them as boats in order to get up North Pole, sort of thing.
Wow.
Just for anyone who, like Steve here, doesn't know what happened to Cecil the lion, which was a globally infamous story, he was one of Africa's most famous and beloved lions, a star attraction at the Hwange National Park. Dr. Palmer, a dentist from America, and his fellow hunters, they paid $50,000. They used a dead animal to lure Cecil out of the safety of his park. scenting an area half a kilometre away. He took the bait. Dr. Palmer fired his bow and arrow, but Cecil didn't die. He stumbled off, wounded and bloodied for 40 hours before Dr. Palmer and his hunters finally caught up with him and shot him dead. Then they beheaded Cecil and skinned him before leaving his rotting carcass lying outside the park.
So they skinned him alive after his head was cut off, yes. But I'm not condoning
That's your
that
reaction to what I just said.
I'm not condoning it.
That's your reaction to what I just said.
What I'm saying is that there is a place for hunting until conservation comes up with a better alternative.
Yeah, tell you what.
And I think people like these guys should focus more on the conservation than the individual animals that get hunted.
It's not about conservation when you get rich, fat people who want to pay vast amounts of money to go over to countries like Botswana,
I think in reality it is about that.
Cut their heads off,
It is about
skin
that.
them, and then bring them back and put them on the
I'm
wall.
sorry you don't like it, but it is about that.
Well, you can flash your little smug grin and say it is about that.
I don't feel smug.
But
I
actually,
feel
it's not about that,
sorry that there's not a more adult approach to this whole subject, and that we're jumping on sound bites and individual.
I feel sorry that there are still people in this country that think trophy hunting in this despicable manner is in any way
Oh, here we go. Listen to this. Phil on Twitter says, lions are natural hunters. So let's let loose all these trophy hunters and let nature take its course.
Yeah.
There you go. That's one way to
Why don't we
deal with
do
it.
trophy hunter hunting? I'd be all in favour of that.